Aloha everyone, this is Chesapeake Movie Thoughts, and my thoughts for today are about Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider's new trailer was just released this week. If you didn't know, Tomb Raider is getting a reboot, a movie reboot, and it's going to be on the big screens next year. And I watched the trailer this week, and the first thing I thought is that this new actress, I forget her name, the new actress they've cast as Lara Croft. At first I thought she didn't really look the part. I mean, it wasn't anything in, like, the costuming or anything like that, because the costume is always, like, straight out of the, I think it was the 2013 reboot video game. So, yeah, it's, like, very accurate there, so I can't fault anything there. Just something about her just didn't seem to fit the part. But then I watched it again a few times, and I went back yesterday and I watched the previous two Tomb Raider movies, the ones with Angelina Jolie, Lara Croft Tomb Raider and Lara Croft Tomb Raider Cradle of Life. And I watched those again, and I watched the trailer again, and it hit me what they're going for, and it seems to be that they're going for a happy medium between the Angelina Jolie previous movie version of Lara Croft and the Lara Croft from the 2013 reboot video game. And if I imagine what a cross between those two versions of Lara Croft would look like, what I come up with in my head is pretty much what I saw on the screen. So I have to say, if that is what they're going for, then yes, she does look the part. I'm not sure what it is that made me think, like, she wasn't exactly like the original video game Tomb Raider, it seemed. It wasn't exactly like the Lara Croft Tomb Raider. Wasn't exactly like the reboot game Tomb Raider. But when you put, like, those two versions together, yeah, that would look like kind of what I see. So I think that is what they're going for. And if they're going for, yeah, I think if that's what they're going for, I think she does look the part. But I love to talk about those Tomb Raider movies from before, the Angelina Jolie ones, since I went and watched those again. And it was different this time watching the first Lara Croft Tomb Raider. I never really thought these were bad movies. I thought they were one of the better examples of video game movies. Video game movies have not broken out yet. There hasn't really been a big hit. There's been a couple that have been, at least good, if not great. Mortal Kombat, I would say go watch the first Mortal Kombat as, for example, one that's good, if not great. Watch Lara Croft Tomb Raider, Resident Evil, that video game movie, I think, did just fine. I mean, they're not masterpieces, but they're not awful either. Yeah, there are examples of awful video game movies, like Super Mario Brothers or Street Fighter, which they can still be fun to watch, watch them just for the bizarreness that they came up with. A lot of those what were they thinking kind of things, and just the absurdity of it can make it an entertaining watch, but not in the way it was intended. So, when you're in the mood for, like, a bad movie, you can throw those on. But the Lara Croft Tomb Raider, I'm going to say, is not a bad movie. I mean, it gets very low scores on Rotten Tomatoes. A lot of people will just lump it in with other video game movies and say it's not bad. Yeah, maybe it's one of the better video game movies, but that's not saying much. But here's the thing. People always say about Lara Croft, well, she's a female Indiana Jones. She's like a female Indiana Jones. And so you go into a movie that stars Lara Croft, and you expect something like the spirit of Raiders of the Lost Ark, but with a female protagonist. That's kind of what you're expecting. And if that's what you're looking for in it, it'll deliver a little bit. It's not great in the way it delivers that. I mean, it's just kind of adequate, if that's what you're looking for. But watching it again, I realized that Lara Croft is not a female Indiana Jones. She is, in fact, a female Scrooge McDuck. Seriously, she is a female Scrooge McDuck. She's insanely wealthy. Indiana Jones is not wealthy at all, much less insanely wealthy. She has her own on-staff inventor and butler. She's got a Duckworth and a gyro gear loose. She's an adventurer because she loves adventure. Indiana Jones, he enjoys a good adventure, but his goal is to bring lost knowledge back to the world. That's his goal. It belongs in a museum. That's Indiana Jones. She's just out there because she loves the chase. She loves the adventure, and and also because it carries on the legacy of her father, because her father instilled that in her. But she's not a teacher. She's not out there to educate people as Indiana Jones is. She is just out there for the adventure. That's much more like Scrooge McDuck. And also, Indiana Jones is a very fallible hero. He comes out on top, but he'll have to take his licks along the way. He can get pretty beat up along the way. He makes mistakes. He always comes out on top, but sometimes he has to fall pretty far before he ends up on top. Not so much with Lara Croft. With Lara Croft, she is one step ahead of everybody most of the time. And if anybody ever gets the better of her, she is resourceful enough to turn it around very quickly. So you could say she's smarter than the smarties and tougher than the toughies. When you watch this as from the notion that this is an homage to Uncle Scrooge comics or DuckTales, rather than it's an homage to Raiders of the Lost Ark, and you look for that spirit as opposed to the Indiana Jones spirit, it really delivers. It really delivers a lot better in that regard, at least in the first Lara Croft Tomb Raider movie. And I really enjoyed this movie much more after I made that realization. It clicked, when something clicked in my head. I mean, definitely this is going to be way more PG-13, and we've got humans and not ducks, and it's a female, it's a young female protagonist, so everything that comes along with that. But when you boil it down, this is it's like something out of the life and times of Scrooge McDuck, in spirit, if not, like literally on the screen, and it's pretty darn good from that perspective. I enjoyed it much more watching it from that perspective. The second movie is not the same. The second movie is not going for Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it's also not going for old Scrooge McDuck comic book. It's more going for an James Bond homage. And it's decent as a James Bond homage. It's like they recruit Lara Croft. It's like they're recruiting her to be James Bond in place of James Bond in this movie. And it's decent enough. There's been tons of homages to James Bond. It's one of the things I found in my lifetime has been among the most frequently homaged movie series. In fact, the Chesapeake Movie Club's meeting next weekend to see Kingsman, the Kingsman sequel, and the Kingsman series is an homage to the James Bond movies. This one, the Lara Croft Cradle of Life, Lara Croft Tomb Raider Cradle of Life, is a decent homage. I think most people will say that this one's marginally better than the first one, but they don't really like either. I think the first one, at least on this viewing, I thought the first one was actually a lot better. The second one, still not bad. It's a decent homage, but I think I've seen better homages to James Bond. But getting back to the new trailer, the new trailer seems to be mostly taking the story from the 2013 video game reboot, and video games at that time had started to change. The technology had progressed to the point where you could really tell more elaborate stories. And me as a video game player, I'm more old school. I kind of separate the movies and video games. When it's a movie, I like to just sit back and watch the movie. When it's a video game, I like to play the game. With this style of video game, which has started to become popular then, it's kind of like you sit back and watch a movie, and just every once in a while, they will stop the movie and have you play through a section of it, and then you'll get back to the movie. And so that's not my style. If I'm going to play it, I want to play it. If I'm going to watch it, I want to watch it. That's just me. I know a lot of people really like that. A lot of video games have gotten a lot of critical praise for doing just that. And I will say that, like, if you sit back and watch it as a movie, it's a really good movie. The animation is great. Character development is good. Visuals are stunning. There's a lot of complex storytelling details. It would be really well made as an animated movie, except it's not. It's a game. But that, I think, probably bodes well for actually making a movie based on it, because it's giving you a lot to work with, and you don't really have to change that much to make it a decent adaptation to the movie, because it was already almost a movie to begin with. You just have to make it so that it's different enough, so that it's not, why am I watching this instead of playing the game? It's exactly the same. But other than that, it's almost, the movie's almost done for you already. But it looks like they are changing it up a little bit, in that they are, I think, trying to find a happy medium between that game and the previous Angelina Jolie movies. It looks like they're taking the story about Lara Croft getting shipwrecked and winding up on this island, and it's as her first adventure and encountering these bad guys. They're taking that from the 2013 video game, but it also, in that game, we start off with Lara Croft, and she's like got an interest in archaeology, and she thinks she's going off on this on her first adventure, but she's very naive about what that's going to be, and she has no idea what she's about to encounter. And she ends up getting shipwrecked and having to survive, and she needs to learn how to survive, and there's bad guys, so she needs to learn how to fight and become this tough, no-nonsense Lara Croft Tomb Raider that we know she's destined to become. And that happens gradually over the course of the story in the game. The impression I get from the trailer is that they are going with, like, the Angelina Jolie's character was picking up the legacy of her father, and it looks like this version is doing that as well. And it looks like she has already had that love of adventure still instilled in her, and that she's already kind of this tough, no-nonsense. Their father is probably already, from what I can tell, has probably already... Hi, sorry about the jump cut. I had to deal with a little intruder that was buzzing around here. But I believe I was talking about Lara Croft being, in this version, the trailer we see for the new version, being, less someone who's has to go to the island on her first adventure, getting shipwrecked there, learning to become the Lara Croft that we all know, but rather coming into it fully formed, or almost fully formed, as this tough, no-nonsense, self-confident character, and always resourceful, always knows what to do. And then, rather than having to learn how to do that, this adventure, her first adventure, is going to be more putting those skills to the test, I think, rather than helping her to learn them. And so I think that, yeah, they're taking that Angelina Jolie version of the character, the one that's following her father's footsteps and has learned all of this from her father already, and just marrying that with the video game origin for her. And I gotta say, it looks good. It looks really good. It looks really entertaining. And I'm looking forward to it. As I mentioned before, there's never really been a big hit video game-based movie, to the point where people just dismiss video game movies now, saying, oh, well, you can't make a good video game movie. All video game movies are terrible. They all stink. And, of course, that's not necessarily true. Once, people said that about comic book movies, and now there are many comic book movies coming out all the time, and many of them are very well received by audiences and critics alike. So, I mean, it just finding out how to do it well. That's the trick. And once one does it, then the floodgates are probably going to open, and eventually we're going to see like lots of video game based movies, like we do with comic book movies now. And I think there is a lot of potential in that. I think there's a lot of stories that could be mined from video games that would make great movies. Even going back to like early Nintendo games. I mean, not Super Mario Brothers, as they tried before, but if you took something like Metroid, or you took something like The Legend of Zelda, going with some more recent games, I enjoyed the heck out of Portal and Portal 2, and I thought that with the characters and the humor and the unique special effects opportunities that affords, that would make a great movie. So I mean, there is potential there once they learn how to do it right. And could this new Tomb Raider movie be the one that finally figures that out? Maybe. It's looking good. I mean, you never know until you see the movie, but the trailer looks really good. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and that's a wrap.